Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Today is Thursday, April 21st. Welcome to First Things First, Simply Cyber's daily morning cybersecurity threat briefing. I'm your host, Gerald Auger. And over the next 30 minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news stories of the day and providing expert analysis on each of these stories, what it means to you as a practitioner, or if you're looking to break into the industry, you can get value out of that. Shout out and thanks to the streams. Sponsors, Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve this ransomware attack and get your business back on track. I want to remind you that if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs, much like I just did this last night for my ISACA stuff, each episode of First Things First is worth half a CPE. So that's 2.5 a week, 10 a month, right? So if you've been with us since the beginning, like Candace Hughes, that's 4 months. That's 40 CPEs, right? If you don't know what CPEs are and you don't know if you need them, chances are you don't, because the certification bodies will tell you repeatedly how you need to do your CPEs, okay? So just make sure you're capturing that. Drop a comment in chat so it'll show that you were here and you'll have auditable evidence that you, in fact, are a member of the First Things First community. If you're live, love it. Definitely appreciate it. Even if you're on replay, drop that comment because that will capture you as being here. I do appreciate you catching the stream. I love live engagement. I know not everybody can be here. So if you're here live, thank you. And if you're catching on replay, I appreciate it. And I hope you get value. If you want to jump right to the news, go to the ticker in the corner, counting down right now, the bottom left corner. When it gets to 0, we will dive into the stories. So you can just grab the little timer, scrub to the right, and boom, you're off and running with the story. But for the next 1 minute and 35 seconds, I will be welcoming folks into stream. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let me see. So guys, here's the deal. My iPad, which is what I use to run the podcast and the music, I forgot to plug it in last night, and it's like an iPad 1, so the battery doesn't work for much. So it's dead. So I'm going to run everything off my phone, which is why we don't have audio right now. But I do have background music per Restream, the platform I'm using. So let's try Chill Hop, or let's try Lo-Fi. See if people can hear that. All right. Let me know how people like Lo-Fi. I've got it at 15 for volume. It's all right. I don't know about that. Lo-Fi is kind of lame. What's Chill Hop sound like? Yeah, let's go. Let's go with that. You like Chill Hop, people, or you like Lo-Fi? Let's take a poll real quick. Jerry should beatbox. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah. Jerry Land. Yeah, guys. Hey, guess what? Sorry that I said the stream was at 8 a.m. today. I kind of messed that up. As far as it's scheduled, it is 10 a.m., obviously, which is what we're doing right now. Today was the last day that I was teaching at the Citadel for this semester. So it's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time until late August. Okay? So get ready for that. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Very predictable expectations, okay? I wonder, what do you guys think? You think I should play the podcast and just lower the Chill Hop down to like 5? Kind of have a little beat going on underneath? Or do you guys prefer just straight news? Give it to me straight, Jerry. Let me know. There is a 20-second delay, and I know I promised everybody I'd get into the stories. You know what I'll do? I'll move Chill Hop down to 5. And we'll do the podcast, and we'll try it one day, and if people don't like it, I won't do it again. No big deal, okay? All right, guys, here's the deal. If you want to play along, go to cybersecurity headlines at cisoseries.com. cisoseries.com is the site. David Spark and his gang, they always deliver the heat, and I genuinely appreciate it. You should definitely be getting your daily feeds from here, if not through First Things First, okay? Let's get into it. I got to unlock my phone. I got to get to my podcast app. Hold on 1 second. Ready? Let's see what happens. Here we go.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
Hopefully you guys can hear that.
It's Thursday, April 21st, 2022.
Josh, can you confirm everything
Okta
is good?
On Lapsus breach. The company completed its third-party forensic investigation into its recent attack by the pernicious threat actor. Lapsus actively controlled a workstation for an engineer at the support firm Citel for 25 minutes, during which time it accessed information on 2 customers. Okta found the attacker viewed limited additional information in certain other applications like Slack and Jira that cannot be used to perform actions in Okta customer tenant. The investigation confirmed that Lapsus was not able to make any configuration changes, password resets, or impersonate customer service. At the time it disclosed the breach, Okta estimated as many as 366 customers may have been impacted.
All right. Okay, so check it out. Okta obviously has a incredibly vested interest in doing a thorough examination of what happened. Remember, Lapsus, very splashy threat actor. The mastermind behind it was 16-year-old English London individual. They had some actors working out of Brazil, so very young, it would appear. I don't know. This is good for Okta. This is good for everybody. When you have a threat actor in your environment, you kind of have to assume breach. You have to kind of assume the worst until you do the work to figure out actually what happened. This, by the way, is why it's vitally important to have good audit log management going on. We did this on the live stream yesterday with the CIS 18 controls. Guys, if you don't have good audit logs, you are not going to be able to forensically identify what happened. Let me just play this forward for a second. Let's say Okta has crappy audit logs. Lapsus gets in. They can't say with any definitive confidence what the threat actor did. So you have to assume the worst. We see this in healthcare all the time where someone gets into an email account and you have to assume that all emails are read, even ones that are really, really old that have tons of patient information, when in reality, it was just a Nigerian threat actor who was setting up forwarding rules in order to spam or do business email compromise. And there was no patient information disclosed, but you don't know that unless you have the audit logs. So very, very important to have audit logs and very, very good for Okta. I would be curious. Let's just take a look really quick. Okta stock. I'm kind of curious. Oh, they're not doing so good. All right, so this is kind of when the breach happened, right? You can see, and then they've rebounded, and the news of the two clients really hasn't been reflected in any type of movement of. It says Okta jumped 7% based on that news. Doesn't look like it, honestly, but that's all right. Next story.
Popular VPNs use risky certificates. The security firm Appisteam discovered that several popular VPN provider apps, including Surfshark, TurboVPN, and ViperVPN, install a trusted root certificate authority on users' devices, in some cases without consent. In the case of Surfshark, the cert is installed even if a user cancels the installation process. Security researchers note that installing a trusted root certificate isn't always good practice, as it could allow an attacker to forge certificates or very effectively operate a man-in-the-middle attack if compromised. In response to the report, Surfshark said it installs a root CA so it's not dependent on a third party for security, and worked with Appisteam to support OpenVPN protocols to no longer require it.
All right. So guys, VPNs, it's the way, right? You people do it for privacy. People do it for anonymity. Some people use it to get around geographical boundaries, right? Like you can't stream because that's not in your local market. And now all of a sudden you pop out somewhere else and now it is in your local market. But there's a million of these different VPN providers. I'm sure you've all seen the NordVPN ads and stuff like that. Just guys, you're installing software. You're basically harnessing your network connection or fusing it with their infrastructure to exit there. So all of your traffic is going across that wire. Now, they talk about be careful with risky root certificates because they can do a man-in-the-middle attack. And sometimes you see this at organizations. There's been much like hubbub about this, but I've never actually seen it implemented where you could basically do a man-in-the-middle attack on your employees, right? So you basically decrypt it before it exits the organization, and then you re-encrypt it, and basically you can spy on your employees and and see what they're doing, see what they're not doing, and stuff like that. So that's the mechanism that they're talking about here. I've never heard of Surfshark, Turbo VPN, or Viper VPN. All I would say is if you are going to use a VPN, you could set up your own. I know Network Chuck has a video on how to set up your own VPN using AWS and OpenVPN, I believe. So, there's options. These solutions are more for end users that aren't technical savvy or capable, or just looking for a quick option. So be mindful. If you are doing sensitive information or business operations and stuff like that, maybe you go with a more reliable, or you pay for the service, right? And, you don't expose yourself to surveillance.
Project Zero disclosed a new vulnerability record. Google's Project Zero security team reported that 58 zero-day vulnerabilities in use in the wild were detected and reported in 2021, more than double its previous record set in 2015. Project Zero reported 25 zero days in 2020. The Project Zero team believed this large uptick was due to increased disclosure of these vulnerabilities rather than simply increased usage by threat actors. The team rationalized this as noting that attacker methodology hasn't significantly changed in the past several years. Google noted that the number of disclosed vulnerabilities may have reversed the detection deficit it first noted in 2019, and credited an increased number of vendors reporting their own zero days, which tripled in 2021 to 16.
Okay, so this is cool. Couple things here. This is a nice little data set, huh? Across years. Wow, this is interesting. Okay, so let me back out of here before I get too confused. Okay, couple things that you guys need to know. One, Google Project Zero is absolutely awesome. If you don't know about Google Project Zero, definitely check it out. It's a threat research group that is very good at analyzing malware, analyzing software, looking for vulnerabilities and exploitation. I think Tavis Ormandy is part of Google Project Zero, and he's fantastic. You should check his work out. But Maddie Stone, actually, I think Maddie Stone was the keynote at B-Sides Charleston a few years ago. Anyways, what they're saying here is that for 2021, there were 58 0 days disclosed, and this is significantly higher than the previous year. And just so we're all on the same page, this doesn't mean that there's more vulnerabilities out there and more 0 days and more threat actors exploiting stuff. It's actually quite the opposite. I think it's fantastic. What we're hearing is that there's more vendors doing their own research. There's more security researchers doing research. There's more responsible disclosure of vulnerabilities. This is an absolute win for our industry to be able to get this information and then basically be able to use it to come up with vulnerabilities, patches to these vulnerabilities, or at least have awareness around them, so we can, basically correct them and not have threat actors exploiting 0 days. I mean, not that they really need to exploit 0 days, because they can just send, a phishing email and get in that way. Oh gosh, my phone is, hold on. This is why I use a dedicated iPad. Here we go.
A look at malicious email scale. According to data gathered by CompareAttack, UK government employees across 260 organizations received nearly 2.7 billion malicious emails in 2021, roughly 2,400 per employee. Some departments were definitely more targeted than others, with NHS Digital seeing an average of over 89,000 malicious emails per employee. Based on information requests, this number includes emails identified by organizations, not CompareAttack, as malicious. An average of 0.32% of malicious emails were opened by staff in the year, of which 0.67% resulted in employees clicking through to links, which means over 57,000 suspicious links got clicked. And now a word.
Yeah, but okay, so this is interesting data. Guys, malicious email, phishing emails, spear phishing, these type of things, it's still very, very common attack vector, right? It's easy to send an email. It gets delivered to people. All I would say about this is I love the metrics, okay? So on average, 1/3 of 1% of malicious emails are actually opened. That's I mean, I know that they say it's 50,000 different emails total because of just the sheer volume of email being sent. But guys, 1/3 of 1% is opened. And of that 1/3 of 1%, 2/3 of a percent, I know this is like popsicle headache math here, but 2/3 of 1% of 1/3 of 1% of all emails resulted in an employee getting infected through a malicious link, right? That is such an incredibly small percentage, resulting in like not full compromise, but full execution of a payload. And this doesn't even go into account for like when they click on that malicious link, does it actually successfully hit, right? Not all payloads work successfully, right? It's, a big misconception in the industry that, once a red teamer gets you to click on something or a threat actor gets you to click on something, you're totally owned. That's not the case. Like, your payloads have to work. The software that you're going to exploit has to work. Like, everything has to kind of line up nicely. I love this. Also, just as a final reminder, I know a lot of people are using Office 365 Exchange Online protection, but make sure that you have a decent email filtering system, security filtering. In 2022, guys, you need one. If either you use Exchange Online protection, which natively comes with Office 365, or you get a third-party one like Mimecast or Proofpoint if you're a larger organization, you absolutely need to be filtering your email. It's just too much of it going on for it to not be filtered.
From our sponsor, Votiro. Brave unplugs Google's AMP. The makers of the Brave browser announced a new feature called DAMP, which will automatically take users to an original website for pages linked to Google's accelerated mobile pages framework. The browser will rewrite links and URLs when possible to avoid visiting AMP pages altogether. Otherwise, it will redirect users away from AMP pages before a page is fully rendered. Brave said it added the feature because AMP gives Google even more knowledge of users' browsing habits, confuses users, and can often be slower than normal web pages.
Okay. I'm unaware of Google AMP. I don't know if anyone else knew about this. Accelerated Mobile Pages Framework. I guess it's if you visit a web page via your mobile phone, it'll load it faster. Whatever. Good for Brave. Brave has made an effort to be the privacy browser of choice, right? The person behind Brave is the person who was originally behind Mozilla Firefox before Mozilla kind of changed its mission. So Brave is rooted in privacy, and by straight up bypassing Google AMP, they're making this case that, like, listen, we are serious, we're thorough, we're deliberate, and we're going to adhere to our mission regardless of what the cost is or whatever it is. The users are our goal. So I've started using Brave. Honestly, I'm using Google Chrome right now because I'm heavily invested in it, but I have started using Brave and I like it. I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts in chat. I started using DuckDuckGo a little bit. I don't have any major privacy concerns. I'm just using it because it's relevant to news and people are talking about it, so I want to get exposure to it personally. But I find it a fine browsing experience, and DuckDuckGo returns results that I want that are useful. So good products, worth checking out.
Ransomware eyes greener pastures. The FBI issued a private industry notification warning farming cooperatives to be on the lookout for an uptick in ransomware activity during planting and harvesting season. Back in September, the FBI issued a similar warning, but it didn't stop two major co-ops from getting hit. The FBI said ransomware gangs may see these organizations as lucrative targets, given the time-sensitive nature of farming operations. The FBI further noted that disruption in grain output could impact the entire food chain, given its importance as a human and livestock food staple. So far, the agency is aware of one Hello Kitty ransomware attack where the threat actor demanded a $30 million ransom. Microsoft Defender gives...
Okay, so the FBI is warning about basically ransomware attacks on agriculture. Now, food and agriculture is a critical infrastructure, right, guys? If we don't have food, that's a problem, right? So obviously something that we want to be mindful of. Now, what is interesting is when COVID hit and there were like meat packing plants going down and stuff like that, and animals like livestock having to be slaughtered because of potential compromise of COVID and stuff like that. People were warning about this food supply chain issue. And I'm not saying it didn't happen. There is complicated inflation things going on right now. There was it was difficult to find chicken in the store at one point, I remember. But, we did handle it, right? So they're talking about ransomware events on these food and agriculture things. But what's weird about it is they cite one instance where it was a $30 million ransom to some food and agriculture business, right? It doesn't look like there's this major threat actor and intel that has came out that is going to be attacking food and agriculture. So I plan on digging into this personally a little bit more to understand what the intel is and what their level of confidence is that this is going to happen, right? Because you can have low confidence, moderate confidence, and high confidence based on the amount of intelligence you have, the sources of that intelligence, the analysis of that. So I'm going to be looking into this myself a little bit. Again, just in full disclosure too, by the way, people, I want to highlight something really quick. I'm reading these stories and hearing these stories with you for the first time. So my professional analysis, my take is a response in the moment. Okay. I had someone reach out to me yesterday about my response to the ISC squared story about diversity and inclusion. And they thought I missed the point, and they thought that I was being kind of a poor steward. So I appreciated them letting me know that, and I communicated back and forth with them. But I'm making the best effort I can based on the information I have. Okay, so just so we're all on the same page about that.
It's Chrome the side eye. Defender for Endpoint began tagging updates for Google's browser delivered through Google Update as suspicious activity as of April 19th. The security service began warning admins of a multi-stage incident involving execution and defense evasion involving Chrome. Microsoft subsequently issued a service advisory that these were false positives and not any form of malicious activity. It's not just Google that Defender occasionally has an issue with. Back in November, it blocked Office documents and executables with similar false positive tags. QNAP issues a new security advisory.
Okay, so this isn't uncommon, okay, guys? False positives happen. When you have an endpoint detection and response tool on your... Oh, hold on, that doesn't look right. Let's fix this. When you have an endpoint detection and response tool, which is basically like antivirus software in 2022, what it needs to do is it needs to assess running processes, new files that show up that get written to disks and everything like that. It has to do it really quick, and it can get it right and it can get it wrong. And when it gets it wrong, it's called false positive. If it marks something that's not malicious as malicious, okay, it's making its best effort. Google updating Google Chrome, it's like a process that's running. It's writing to disk. It's updating software. For all intents and purposes, it can look just like malware, the way it's behaving. By the way, I want to point out too that it wouldn't be unreasonable for a threat actor to deploy a malicious software to appear as Google Update, right? Because so many people are using Google Chrome, the Google Update service is expected, all these things, right? So it's not outrageous. Basically, what happened here is Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, which is the Microsoft EDR solution, flagged Google as suspicious, right? So a bunch of security analysts probably had a busy day where they were like, uh-oh, we've got infections, Google Chrome, but don't worry, Microsoft Defender stopped it. So your compromise wasn't happening, right? Plus it was a false positive. But even if it was a true positive, the Defender would have stopped it. So what the real impact here is that your end users are, Google Chrome may have not worked because Defender was impacting it or deleting the updates. So this is more of an interesting story because it's Microsoft Defender and Google Chrome. It's two of the, top 5 big tech companies. And it's kind of funny because it is a false positive story, but false positives happen all the time. This is why you actually need to tune your EDR solutions instead of just relying on the vendor to tune it. Because when it comes stock out of the box, it's okay, but it can be better. And actually, this is getting into like detection engineering and EDR tuning, which is more advanced skills stuff. But anyways, It's good. It's good. Let's talk about QNAP now.
The last few years have seen a number of threat actors targeting QNAP NAS devices with ransomware, made more problematic by a number of QNAP devices no longer supported and receiving security patches. The latest security advisory from the company urges customers to disable universal plug-and-play port forwarding on routers as an additional protection for their NAS hardware. QNAP advises to keep its NAS devices without a public IP address and disable manual and UPnP port forwarding, recommending its MyQNAP CloudLink service as a more secure connection method. It's unclear if this is in response to a new threat campaign or just good security hygiene.
Or because QNAP is being drugged through the mud like once a month on just on their NAS devices having poor security posture. Okay, again, guys, if you've been following First Things First for a while, you know that I've said I need to have a QNAP NAS sound effect because it's so often. Guys, UPnP was a cool idea, and it's basically like it's a protocol that is supposed to allow you don't have to worry about like setting up and finding devices on your network. It's supposed to like auto detect, right? Kind of like Bonjour service in Apple. So you plug in your NAS device and it gets discovered. It's very loud. It gets discovered and configured with your computer or with the server or with, your aunt's iPad who came to visit. Okay. But also threat actors, right? And if you have the device on the internet, like a public routable IP address, you may be, exposing yourself by allowing it to be easily accessible and configured and all this. This is nothing new. Usually QNAP has like a 0-day vulnerability or some type of gross security vulnerability that can be exploited really easily. This one is more an actual feature of the QNAP devices. It's intentionally there to be for the end users for a better user experience. It's just being exploited by threat actors. Again, at this point, if you're using a QNAP NAS, you definitely should have been doing all of these best practices. So again, as they say in the story, it's unclear if this is related to a new incident, which may have caused them to remind people not to do this UPnP stuff, but just be mindful. Anything that has a public routable IP address or that you configure network address translation on your firewall or routers on, you just got to be mindful of what listening services they have. And that's what I would say about that. All right. So we flew through that. Let me turn up my music a little bit, my chill hop. Yeah. So that's going to do it for today's First Things First. Look at us right on time at 10:30. Reminder, today is Cybersecurity Stream Thursdays. So we've got Rob Lee of Dragos, CEO and industrial control system expert, coming on to talk about the current state of industrial control system security. I know he just did a 60-minute interview talking about Ukraine and stuff. Maybe we'll get into that. But I'm more focused on is ICS a niche field? Like, can I get into ICS? Can you get into ICS? Do you have to live in Texas or somewhere where there's a lot of oil and gas and energy to work in ICS? Has COVID remote workforce expanded the accessibility of ICS workforce? I don't know. We're going to talk to Rob. He owns a company that does just that. So hopefully we can get some good answers and have a great conversation with him. Also, mind you, Outpost Gray, Jack Scott of Outpost Gray probably has a live stream today at 3:30. She's always doing that. Let's take a look really quickly. Videos, upcoming live streams. Let's see what she's got. She's got, oh, cool, Alyssa Knight. Very, very impressive guest. Alyssa Knight today at 3:30. So definitely check that out. Alyssa's got a ton of stories and experience and very interesting professional in our space. So I'm going to set a reminder for myself right now because I want to catch that. Also, you guys, the URL is right beneath my face right now, simplycyber.io/streams. If you go there, you'll see all the upcoming live streams. As I mentioned before, First Things First, the news briefing we're doing right now, it will be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday for the foreseeable future. You can see right here, that's what's going on. Also on Friday, tomorrow, we have the new show that I've been doing with Eric Taylor, What's on Your Radar, where it's basically senior professionals talking about something that caught their eye, that they dug into. basically what's on their radar and why is it on their radar. So I hope you can join us. Obviously, share simplycyber.io/streams with other people so they can find us and share it. All right. So thanks, everybody. I genuinely appreciate you all helping me deal with my audio visual issues. I may actually just go to using this background music because this is actually pretty cool. I'll go back and look at the comments and chat if you guys liked having the music during the entire stream on a low volume. I'm interested. So be good, everybody. Have a great Thursday, and we'll see you tomorrow. Well, we'll see you today at 4:30, or we'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Take care.